Hello, this is Lisa, CEO for Sight for White and White Sense. Welcome you to this week's Talking News on Friday, the 22nd of November 2022. Well, today saw a little bit of white flurry in the sky. Doesn't seem to have stuck though, but hopefully the weather says it's going to cheer up again over the weekend, reaching the dizzy heights of 8 degrees. Coming up next week, on Tuesday, I will be at the Eight Bells with the Isle of Wight Vintage Motorbike Club, who have nominated us as their Charity of the Year at their AGM. So if anybody is around, we will be at the Eight Bells on Tuesday evening. Also next week is the college lunch. We are fully booked for this now, but if you're coming along, I look forward to seeing you then. Delighted to report that this week Emma and I went along to St Mary's to give some sighted guide training and how to approach our members training at the eye hospital for the members of staff who work there. We were extremely well received and have already been invited back to give further practical training on sighted guiding. It was an absolute pleasure to address this group, and they came up with some great questions, and the session was really active and lively. It really does feel like the Christmas spirit is nearly upon us now. I've got family gatherings for the next 3 weekends all over the country, and I hope everybody has an enjoyable lead up to this festive period. Thank you, Lisa, CEO, Sight for White and White Sense.
Here is this week's charity news, 22nd of November 2024. Swimming at Medina is on Monday between 1:15 and 2 p.m. We have the whole pool, so whether you wish to swim lanes or just have gentle exercise in the pool, you will be made very welcome. The cost is £6 and transport is available, although limited.
Paula will be attending the Living Well Early Help event at Wootton Community Centre on Monday between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Everyone welcome.
Yoga at Millbrook House on Tuesday between 1:45 and 2:45. The cost is £4, including refreshments afterwards. Currently, there is a waiting list for this activity. Please call the office if you're interested in joining.
Coffee and Chat is on Wednesday starting at 10 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. The cost is £2 to include drinks and cake. Staff are on hand to help with any queries and to demonstrate equipment. We are also pleased to say we have the use of both large rooms downstairs, so if you prefer a quieter space, we now can accommodate you.
Following on from Coffee and Chat, we have our White Sense catch-up and feedback starting at 11:30 a.m. This is for anyone to express concerns or ask questions about the service, etc. All are welcome.
Thursday, our Mix and Mingle group will resume starting at 10:30 a.m. This group enjoys many activities, including craft, quizzes, singing and each other's company. There is currently a waiting list for this group, but do not hesitate to call the office to put your name down on the list.
Diary and calendars are available to order as per the newsletter, so please make sure the office receives all orders as soon as possible.
Our annual raffle is now underway, and hopefully everyone has received 2 books of tickets. There are more tickets at Millbrook if anyone wishes to purchase more, or are able to sell tickets to family members in support of our charity. We are also looking for good quality raffle prizes if anyone knows a local business or company who may be able to donate a prize. Please let Susan know.
Our monthly 100 Club has spare balls available. If anyone would like to buy a ball, it is £2 a month or £24 for the full year. The more balls in the draw, the higher the prize money each month. If you would like to take part in our monthly draw, please call the office. This is part of our fundraising activities.
We now have our packs of 10 Christmas cards on sale for £3.50. This year we have a variety of designs on offer, so please call the office or pop into Millbrook House to purchase.
If you are interested in joining any of the activities, please do not hesitate to call the office and speak to Susan for more information.
Isle of Wight Counsellor in Mental Health Priority Motion. From Isle of Wight Radio, Iona. An Isle of Wight councillor has lodged a motion calling for mental health to be a priority across all of the county hall areas of responsibility. Councillor Ed Blake, who represents Ventnor and St Lawrence on the Isle of Wight Council, tabled his plea for proactive action on tackling the stigma of mental health and suicide following the deaths of 3 men that he grew up with this year. The proposition said, "This council believes as a local authority we have a crucial role to play in improving the mental health of everyone in our community and tackling the stigma that exists on the island around mental health and suicide. We will proactively listen to people of all ages and backgrounds about what they need for better mental health and ensure that people know where to go to seek help at the earliest opportunity." 4 steps are called for: promoting training for everyone around mental health and suicide, increased funding for support services, developing and promoting community support programs, and collaboration with local businesses on mental health initiatives in communities and workplaces. Councillor Blake said, "This year there have been three guys that I grew up with that have taken their own lives. It's stuff that has happened repeatedly. We do have a very high rate on the island per 1,000, and I'm told by Simon Bryant, Director of Public Health at the Isle of Wight Council, it's not a rising number, but it is a very high number compared to national figures." A friend came to me saying, "Is there anything that you can do as a councillor?" In response, Councillor Blake set up a meeting with Simon Bryant, the Hampshire County Council Public Health Consultant, Sue Cochrane, who is the suicide lead for the island. They discussed that he had heard from friends and others affected by the situation, services the council already currently delivers, and what could be done better, all of which inspired the motion. Referencing key deficiencies at present, he said, 46% of men wouldn't feel comfortable talking to their employer about their mental health. One of the key things that isn't being done is targeting people through their workplace, talking to businesses about their staff's mental health. People are getting more and more isolated, particularly with social media, replacing external connections that you might have had in the pub, for example. Workplaces, associations, community groups, and those are just a few human contacts that some people have these days, so it's getting more emphasis in those places. More funding also needs to be put towards the issue. The motion will be heard on Wednesday at full council. The meeting starts at 6 o'clock.
This is Michael reading an article from Ireland Echo. Progress of projects discussed at inaugural Bay Place Plan AGM. Residents from across Sandown, Lake and Shanklin recently met to discuss the progress of the Bay Place Plan. Steering Group Chair Paddy Lightfoot updated over 60 community members on progress since the Place Plan consultation, and Isle of Wight Council Regeneration Officer Laura Cansdale detailing projects that are in the pipeline. It was reiterated that the Place Plan is not a roadmap we need to follow, but a starting point. The challenge is to deliver what our communities want now and in the future. The first AGM included discussion of the Performing Arts Initiative in Shanklin, the landscaping of new road community space in Lake, as well as the Changing Places project in Sandown. Project groups covered themes such as arts and culture, sports, community organisations, youth tourism and natural environment events, and business, with recognition that Shanklin is developing a business association and Sandown has outlined plans for a similar initiative. Paddy Lightfoot said, "It was heartening to see so many different people wanting to contribute to projects in their towns and across the bay, recognising We have much to celebrate and cherish, as well as many challenges which are best faced working together. Residents highlighted the benefit of the investments made in Lake, Shanklin and Sundown in the infrastructure to support community events and local businesses, with a commitment to accessibility and inclusion, a thread that permeates all projects, including the youth project supported by the 3 councils. Paddy thanked Isle of Wight Cabinet members, Councillor Julie Jones-Evans, for the role played by the Isle of Wight Council in facilitating the Bay Place plan, and added, "With a dedicated officer, the Bay has already secured several millions of pounds for capital projects, and there are several Bay-wide schemes, such as signage, that are evolving and attract matching funding. Details of steering group members and how you can get in contact with them are on the respective town parish council websites, and volunteers to get involved with the various projects are encouraged to make contact with the relevant steering group members or contact Bay Area Place Plan, or one word, at iow.gov.uk. Following a weekend when the communities of the Bay marked Remembrance Day, attendees also thanked the volunteers involved in the plan for shining a spotlight on the volume of work going on in the Bay, from bands and beach, cleaning and regattas to railing, painting, with town and parish councils committed to allocating improvement funds to maintain the momentum and support grant funding opportunities.
This is Patrina reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. Council approves support package to help islanders on low incomes. An opened-up support package to help islanders on low incomes pays council tax was approved at a major Isle of Wight Council meeting on Wednesday. County Hall's full council opted to go ahead with the Local Council Tax Support LCTS scheme 2025 to 2026 and continue the council's exceptionally hardship fund. Presented by Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Housing and Finance, Councillor Stevens' plan maintains the current LCTS framework, which helps people with up to 75% of their tax bills, apart from 6 small changes to the way in which support is calculated for each claimant. The Exceptional Hardship Fund can give islanders in extreme financial hardship additional support payments on top of LCTS for a limited period of time. Councillor Stevens previously described his plan as an open-up scheme, which includes an improvement. He said the Alliance administration had attempted to be as generous as we possibly can. The representative for Ryde West said, "There are existing financial pressures on the council, as well as forecast demands pressures which need to be addressed within the council's budget. It's likely the council's saving requirements will need to rise from £1 million to £3 as a result of unfunded cost pressures in social care. We also have to recognise the need for residents to have financial stability during these difficult times, with the cost of living crisis, energy price increases, and more residents being moved onto universal credit from existing benefits. We've consulted on the proposed scheme over an 8-week period, island-wide, throughout the summer. This consultation also sought views of town, parish and community councils, and the majority agreed the proposed scheme should be the option adopted. Councillor Andrew Garrett, representative for Parkhurst and Honey Hill, said, "It has been very good to see that we have made very good progress to restore the amount of support from 65% up towards 80%. In many senses, this is a sad moment in that we have not got back to 80%, which is where we really need to be." Only Councillor Jeff Brodie, representative for Pan and Barton, voted against the plan. During a brief interval outside the council chamber, he explained his opposition. "This year we have been bounced into it. It's not a perfect paper whatever at all. We have been told we can't amend it because there have to be a new consultation. We did that last year quite comfortably. There was no need for an extra consultation, and the amendments went through. There was a big fuss about it. This year we have been advised by the monitoring officer we can't amend it. Increasingly on this, council officer seems to lead the way rather than councillors. If we had the opportunity to amend it, I would have liked to have moved towards 80%, if at all possible, but we're not allowed to do that. Increasingly there's no democracy in local councils. County Hall works out levels of LCTS according to residents' weekly income and household. Approved changes include replacing the current earnings disregard with one standard earnings disregard of £45 per week, disregarding the child care component of universal credit, and disregarding in full any post office compensation scheme payments from the calculation of LCTS. LCTS was first introduced in April 2013 as a replacement of a previous central government council tax benefit scheme. UK government funding for council tax support has decreased each year since its introduction, according to a council report signed by Councillor Stevens.
Bird flu risk increase sees advice issued to Isle of Wight poultry keepers from Island Echo, Iona. Bird keepers across the Isle of Wight are being asked to protect their birds following an increase in the risk of bird flu. Owners are being advised to take care to protect their birds from being exposed to any potential highly pathogenic avian influenza, HPAI. There are a number of ways to prevent birds from contracting the disease, from housing them safely to following rules around racing pigeons, birds of prey, and other captive birds. Common symptoms include a swollen head, closed and runny eyes, and eating less than usual. James Potter, the council's Trading Standards and Community Safety Manager, says it is key that people are vigilant in monitoring the health of their kept birds, in reporting any suspicion of disease promptly, and in applying strict biosecurity. By implementing biosecurity measures, keepers can reduce the likelihood of their kept birds being infected. The advice and guidance is as follows. Register as a keeper of birds. You must register within 1 month of keeping poultry or other captive birds at any premises in England or Wales. You're breaking the law if you do not register. Keep birds away from other captive and wild birds. Prevent contact with wild birds. Maintain bird houses and sheds. Fence off or cover standing water and pools. Control rodents and pests. Clean and disinfect housing. Use clean clothing and footwear to tend to your birds. Limit and control access to your birds. You do not need to register some birds, such as budgies, parrots, cockatiels, and finches. You do not need to register some birds, such as budgies and parrots and finches, if they are both fully housed in a dwelling, your home, or another indoor structure with no access to the open air. You do not need to register an exempt bird to visit a veterinary practice. If your birds are taken outdoors at any time, for example, to be exercised, trained, or taken to bird gatherings or shows, they must be registered. If you do suspect bird flu in poultry or other captive birds, you must report it immediately by calling 03 000 200 301. Bird flu is a notifiable disease in poultry and other captive birds, and if you don't report it, you're breaking the law.
This is Michael reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. 5-year Isle of Wight landscape plan decision on horizon. A key County Hall forum will tomorrow decide on whether to approve a 5-year plan for the Isle of Wight's nationally important landscape. Full Council, a meeting of all 39 councillors, will vote on a 157-page management plan for the island's national landscape, formerly called the Area of Outstanding Natural Beauty, AONB. Along with national parks, AONBs are considered to be some of the finest examples of the British countryside and have special legal protections to conserve and enhance natural beauty. The DEFRA-funded Isle of Wight National Landscape Partnership document sets out an introductory vision. Policies and the decisions taken based on sound evidence around the natural and historic environment and landscape have conserved and enhanced the special characteristics of the island's finest landscapes, giving the AONB a strong identity and sense of place. Anthropogenic climate change has and continues to take place in a way which threatens the conservation and enhancement of natural beauty of the area as well as the needs of local communities, rural businesses and the land use sector. Mitigation of these influences are an important part of this plan. Farming and woodland management remain central to the continued conservation and enhancement of the beauty of the landscape. New technologies have been appropriately accommodated through careful consideration and mitigation for their impact upon the AONB, bringing economic and social benefits and retaining the intrinsic special qualities of the environment. Economic benefit has been brought directly to local communities through sustainable tourism and business activities. The plan is divided into 4 focus points: place, climate, nature, and land use and people. Linked to each of these areas are overarching aims, including upholding the statutory purpose of the AONB, taking opportunities to enhance its landscape and seascape, and promoting and raising awareness of the area. Other priorities involve increasing understanding through guidance documents and publications, monitoring forces for change that could affect the AONB, and fostering rural economic development which conserves and enhances the landscape. Place relates to protected landscapes and coastal areas within the AONB. Geodiversity, the historic environment and tranquility and dark skies. Geodiversity is the variety of rocks, minerals, fossils, natural processes, landforms and soils that shape the earth. Climate includes climate change and mitigation solutions, minerals and soils, air and water and energy. Nature and land use involves wildlife, farming and forestry, and woodland management. People divides into arts and culture, sustainable communities, the visitor economy, and access and recreation.
This is Patrina reading from Island Echo. New strategy for tree care on the Isle of Wight unveiled by local authority. A new tree management strategy has been approved by the Isle of Wight Council, the first time the authority has taken this step. The island is blessed with about 100,000 trees owned by the council, and hundreds of thousands more which are publicly and privately owned. The strategy sets out how the Council will protect and enhance the woodland and trees it owns, recognising the increasingly important role they play in tackling climate change, reducing flood risks, and controlling pollution. As part of this commitment, the Council has pledged to replace every tree lost with 2 new trees, ensuring the long-term sustainability of the island's tree population. The care and conservation of trees within a wide range of environments is an important responsibility. Councillor Laura P.C. Wilcox, Cabinet Member for Parks and Open Spaces, explained, "The tree management strategy is a testament of our commitment to preserving the natural beauty of the Isle of Wight. Trees are not only a vital part of our landscape, but also play a crucial role in our fight against climate change. This strategy will ensure that we manage our tree stock responsibly and sustainably for the benefit of current and future generations. It will help us maintain a healthy and diverse tree population on council land, which is vital for our landscape and community." The tree management strategy supports several key council plans, including those focused on regeneration, climate and sustainability, planning the local nature recovery strategy, and open space plan. It aims to maintain a healthy and diverse tree population on council land, which is essential for both our landscape and community. A recent instance of this commitment is the essential safety works carried out at Los Altos Park in Sandown. The maintenance work was not only crucial for public safety, but also a necessary step to preserve and enhance biodiversity, allowing native tree species and wildlife to thrive. Natasha Dix, Service Director for Waste, Environment and Planning, added, "The Council is responsible for thousands of trees on its land. Challenges like ash dieback and severe weather are putting more pressure on our tree management efforts. It is therefore vital that we have a tree management strategy in place, and I would call on the whole island community to support it. By working together, we can ensure a greener, healthier future for our island. The Council is committed to maintaining a vibrant tree population that enhances our environment and quality of life."
Help sought for Isle of Wight's struggling small businesses. From Isle of Wight Radio, Iona. Small businesses have been through hell in recent years, and politicians should step in to help, an Isle of Wight councillor has said. Fairley and Whippingham representative Matthew Price submitted a motion calling on the Isle of Wight Council to support small businesses and ask Westminster for assistance. The appeal, due to be discussed and voted on at County Hall's 6 o'clock full council meeting this Wednesday, urges a review of current impositions on island enterprise. Lifting pressure would encourage growth and make the Isle of Wight more appealing as a place to set up shop. The submission says, "The Isle of Wight Council recognises that small businesses on the island are of huge importance to the local economy and account for over 60% of all employment. The authority recognises the huge financial burden any increase in employers' national insurance contributions will put on businesses. It's now crucial that the Council asks government to support our small businesses, specifically on the Isle of Wight, and actively seeks financial help for the retail sector in particular. This help can come in many forms, but for example, parking concessions have been proven to bring shoppers back into retail areas of cities, towns and villages. Unsecured and government-backed loans need to be introduced at this time, when businesses are least likely to be able to secure funding or afford what is available through mainstream lenders." Explaining his call for action, the Newport garage owner added, It's a bit of a reaction to the budget. Being a businessman, it's not a political thing. We've been through hell over the last few years with the rise in the minimum wage, getting through COVID and all the things we've had to do to survive. At the end of the day, it comes simply down to economics. The biggest employer on the Isle of Wight are small businesses. If you lose lots of them, you lose people's income, you lose livelihoods, and you're only going to put more pressure on the welfare system.
This is Petrina reading from Isle of Wight Radio. Work to sink 3 boreholes in Leeson Road due to finish this week. Work to sink 3 boreholes along Leeson Road, the deepest of which reaches a depth of 130 metres, is expected to finish this week. 2 of the boreholes are already completed. The first of these is 115 metres deep and houses an array of inclinometers which records ground movement. The second is to a depth of 130 metres and also houses an inclinometer. Boring to this depth allows for gathering data about groundwater conditions along the wider area, over and above what is needed for the safe reopening of Leeson Road. The third borehole has proved more challenging. After casing became stuck in the green sand layer, approximately 125 metres underground, and numerous attempts to retrieve it failed, it was necessary to drill an alternative borehole nearby to house the agreed monitoring equipment, several piezometers tips which record underground water pressure. Underground water is a major factor in ground movement. The aim was to sink this borehole to 100 metres. A spokesperson for the Isle of Wight Council said, "We anticipate this depth will be reached this week, after which the monitoring equipment can be installed. The original borehole will be backfilled because the casing stuck within it prevents any meaningful monitoring. Data recovered from the equipment installed in these boreholes, added to that already being retrieved from new and existing equipment, will give us all the information needed to manage an early warning process that will allow the road to be reopened and operated safely in parallel to the landslip risk. We anticipate that the third borehole will be completed and all instrumentation installed by the end of the 10th to 12th week framework previously communicated. Island Roads and the Isle of Wight Council can assure the residents that our intention remains to reopen the road as soon as we are satisfied it is safe to do so, and we have an agreement in place to ensure effective ongoing management. We will continue to keep the community informed."
Shanklin Company making nuclear waste sorting safer, greener and cheaper. From Isle of Wight Radio, Iona. Nuclear waste has always been difficult to handle, but an Isle of Wight company is aiming to keep humans further away from the hazardous materials. Innovative Physics, which is based at Langard Manor in Shanklin, alongside Cumbria-based Baron, has developed robotic and artificial intelligence-led solutions to the tricky problem of sorting out different elements of the waste, particularly during decommissioning of nuclear facilities. The new innovative robotic operating system has been developed to tackle 3 issues in nuclear waste disposal. These are automation to avoid workers being exposed to harmful radiation, identification of different types of waste and an ability to sort accordingly, using that sorting to reduce health risks, environmental risks and reduce processing costs. The robotic element of the IROS system allows it to map and identify individual pieces of waste and then sort them accordingly while recording the process on a database. Nuclear waste facilities provide many different types of waste, including metals, plastic, rubber, soil, rubble, and hazardous waste. Also includes asbestos and batteries. Some of the key IROS products include AI-led grasping of waste to be processed, a safety monitoring system taken from the aviation sector that ensures materials are correctly identified. A spokesperson for Innovative Physics said the system accurately identifies and sorts different types of debris while also improving efficiency, reducing costs, and enhancing safety. Notably, the automated system eliminates the need to expose workers to harmful radiation. We believe the future potential of this technology is highly significant, as it can be applied to other industries like waste management, construction, and mining. IROS has the potential to revolutionise the nuclear decommissioning industry, and we will be talking to potential customers about how this can work for them. Innovative Physics Limited was formed in 2008 and is based at Langard Manor in Shanklin. It has offices in China, Japan, and the USA.
We now go on to news items and sport. Family is left in shock as Dad's memorial is removed. A shocked and upset Islander has accused the Isle of Wight Council of insensitivity after a flowerbed memorial at the crematorium for his father was stripped bare. Simon Parsons from Ryde said he has been told he must now buy a new plaque for his dad Roy from the council and has claimed it is merely a money-making scheme. The authorities said signage notifying families of removals has been in place for 2 months, but claims it has not insisted historic plaques at the Isle of Wight crematorium are replaced with ones purchased by the council. The county press is aware of more than one family who has been affected. When Simon, 61, visited the flowerbed earlier this month, the day after Roy's birthday, he was stunned to find it empty and initially thought he had got the wrong plot. As well as a plaque for Roy, who died in 2011, sentimental items including his photograph, a little toolbox that Simon's brother made, and small planters were all missing. Simon, who used to work in the funeral industry, said he went inside the crematorium to find out what had happened and was given a white paper bag containing the items. Presuming their removal was temporary for gardening works, he asked when they could go back on and said he was told by crematorium staff they can't, and that new plaques have to be bought from the council. Simon said the new plaques lack personality, and although signs have been placed on the ground, families should have been better warned. Roy's ashes were scattered by a tree in the crematorium garden, and the family chose a nearby flowerbed to place items in remembrance. The Isle of Wight Council said shrubbery borders are being renovated, and unauthorised memorials, ones installed by a family that haven't been purchased or approved, have been removed from one border. The council said families have had to purchase plots from the council for the last 5 years or more, although Simon said he has never known this to be the case for flower beds.
Residents confined to flats by broken lift. A broken lift is causing trouble for some of the elderly residents at a retirement complex. Home White House on Crocker Street in Newport comprises of 54 flats but has just a single lift. The lift first broke on November the 3rd, and while lift engineers attended the next day, they found an additional part was needed. This was ordered as a matter of urgency, and it is due to arrive and be fitted this week. But in the meantime, some of the residents unable to use the stairs are confined to their flats. A spokesperson for the property management company said, "We understand that a lift being out of action in a retirement development can be challenging, and we are doing everything possible to support residents whilst we work to get the lift back up and running as quickly as possible. We have provided regular updates to residents and will continue to do so until the lift is back in action within the next few days.
Business owner feigned cancer in £160,000 fraud. A carpentry business owner defrauded his customers for £160,000 and falsely claimed he had bowel cancer to fob off his clients. Scott Richard Carpenter of Quarry Road in Ryde attended the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court on Tuesday, November the 19th, and pleaded guilty to 2 counts of participating in fraudulent business carried on by a sole trader. Michael Forster, prosecuting on behalf of the Isle of Wight Council, said that between May the 1st, 2021 and November the 30th, 2022, the 41-year-old ran Bespoke Carpentry and Building Services, Isle of Wight. Mr. Forster told the court Carpenter operated the business for 19 months, during which he was involved with 6 customers who paid him substantial amounts of money for work, either completed poorly or not completed at all. Magistrates heard Carpenter defrauded his customers out of a total of £162,275, including £88,000 from one customer alone, asking for payment up front to purchase materials for specific jobs. He did not spend the money as promised and lied about purchasing materials by manipulating his clients and producing invoices from previous jobs to buy himself more time, said Mr. Forster. The court was told Carpenter declared himself bankrupt but continued to fob off customers and lied about having medical conditions. Mr. Foster said Carpenter told 3 customers he was in hospital because he had bowel cancer, despite never being diagnosed. Magistrates said it was a very nasty use of manipulation and ordered a pre-sentence report ahead of sentencing at the Isle of Wight Crown Court on February the 7th. Carpenter was granted unconditional bail.
Your chance to win a real Christmas tree. The county press is delighted to have teamed up with Thompson's Garden Centre to give a real Christmas tree to one lucky reader. We have a 6 to 7 feet Norway spruce worth around £50 to give to one reader, and it is sure to be the centrepiece of their home this year. Thompson's has been growing their own Christmas trees on the Isle of Wight for over 20 years. A small team of knowledgeable, experienced, dedicated staff, led by head grower Peter, manage a 130-acre nursery that has close to 100,000 trees growing. The business is a member of the British Christmas Tree Growers Association, who believe in the sustainable farming of Christmas trees. A spokesperson for Thompson said, "Did you know that the trees grow from taking carbon dioxide, the greenhouse gas CO2, out of the atmosphere? One Christmas tree will then release enough clean oxygen for at least 18 people. For every tree that's cut, another is planted, so there's always a constant cycle of growing Christmas trees. This spring, we planted 7,000 Nordmann fir trees and 3,500 spruce, some of which will still be in the ground 20 years from now. We buy the trees as 3-year-old seedlings from a selected provenance. This is important because the provenance makes sure we get a better quality tree. The seedlings are then planted in a 2-litre pot using peat-free compost, grow on for a further year, and then planted the following spring in uncultivated ground. Norway spruce is the original traditional Christmas tree and one of the most popular varieties. Thompson's is open 7 days a week, Monday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and on Sunday from 10:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. There is a Santa's Grotto with tickets available to pre-order. Now for a chance to win, simply answer the following question. What is the name of Thompson's head grower? Send your answer and full contact details to competition@iwcp.co.uk by midday on Thursday, November the 28th. A winner will be picked at random. The terms and conditions apply.
Blocked road dispute left in limbo. No end to the disruption is in sight for a road which closed more than a year ago following the collapse of a wall. Bath Road in Ventnor was closed back in October 2023 after a section of private wall came tumbling down, blocking the carriageway. The road leads up from the seafront, past La Falaise car park and up to Belgrave Road, coming out opposite the Royal Hotel. In May, the local authority confirmed legal action was being sought as it looked to secure repairs to the retaining wall adjacent to the road. A notice was issued on behalf of the council requiring the property owner to carry out works to prevent the danger caused by the retaining wall to users of the highway. However, the property owner has since exercised their right to appeal the notice to the Magistrates' Court in Brighton. We are currently awaiting directions to respond to the appeal, said a spokesperson for the council. Following due process, the council must await the outcome of the appeal before considering next steps, including works in default.
Plea for terminally ill young woman. Islanders have been encouraged to skip Christmas cards this year to raise money for a young woman who has just months to live. Cassidy Lay, 20, from Ventnor, is in end-stage heart failure and suffers from a rare terminal skin condition. Cassidy went to St Francis Primary School and the Island Free School and has a series of painful and terminal medical conditions, including a severe terminal rare genetic skin condition, severe dilated cardiomyopathy, ventricular tachycardia, scoliosis, joint dislocations and postural hypertension. She will soon be going to Naomi House and Jack's Place for respite care after her skin condition worsened recently. Cassidy's friend, Liz Morris, has pledged to skip sending Christmas cards this year and donate to Cassidy's GoFundMe page instead. Over £20,000 has been raised despite the initial £2,500 goal. Cassidy has not let her condition hold her back, with a trip to see Taylor Swift at the Eras Tour in London and a mini break in Amsterdam over the past few months, as well as several theatre shows. Liz said, "This year, instead of sending Christmas cards, I'm donating to a cause close to my heart, supporting my incredible friend Cassie Lay. Cassidy and her family are going through an unimaginably tough time. Sadly, her condition is deteriorating and she's in a lot of pain with a very nasty skin infection. Cassidy will soon be going to Naomi House and Jack's Place for some much needed respite care, and she also has the long-term support of Mountbatten here on the Isle of Wight." Jodie Lacey, Cassidy's cousin and organiser of her GoFundMe, said, "Sadly, right now, Cassidy has a debilitating infection in her skin, the very worst and most painful it's ever been. This is the most recent infection of many she has been treated for. The local hospice visited to adjust her pain medication due to disease progression, and we hope this makes her more comfortable."
Hospice Annual Light Event. Mountbatten is gearing up for its annual Light Up a Life event. The hospice will host the event on Sunday, December the 1st from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at its base in Halbury Lane, Newport. The event is dedicated to remembrance and supporting patients and families in need. Each light dedicated represents a life remembered and brings hope to families supported by Mountbatten, like Sam's. Sam died at just 33, but his family felt peace and comfort knowing he was well looked after. Sam's mother, Jane, said Mountbatten gave Sam dignity and helped him to be the father his daughters needed in his final days. Charmaine, Sam's wife, said Sam wasn't scared because he knew we had the support we needed. If you're nervous about attending, please don't be.
Man faces order after stalking ex-Tory MP. An Isle of Wight man has been made subject of a stalking protection order which prohibits him from contacting former Conservative politician Penny Mordaunt. Edward Peter Brandt of Queen's Road Freshwater opposed the application against him. Miss Mordaunt applied for the order, complaining that the 60-year-old carried out acts associated with stalking, namely that he repeatedly used email, phone, leaving 2 voicemail messages, and on one occasion attempted to force entry into her office, which she claimed posed a risk. The order, which was made on application by Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary, was granted and runs for 10 years. It requires that Mr. Brandt attend an initial 90-minute appointment with a psychiatrist from Southern Health. He is also prohibited from directly or indirectly contacting or communicating with Miss Mordaunt, following or approaching Miss Mordaunt, entering any premises where he knows or reasonably suspects Miss Mordaunt is or may be present, referring to Miss Mordaunt on social media.
Inheritance tax, final nail in the coffin for farmers. Island farmers have been explaining their reasons for protesting against the government's tax measure. Farmers are protesting against the government's decision to charge inheritance tax at the rate of 20% on farmland worth over £1 million, starting in April 2026. Luke Flux, a Skinner's farm in Northwood, travelled to London with a group of Isle of Wight farmers on Tuesday. Luke said, "We're losing farmland to lifestyle people and investors. We're seeing that happen quickly on the Isle of Wight. We're probably 10 years ahead of the rest of the country. We have assets that no one will see the full value of. We're not making enough to pay this inheritance tax. In the countryside, £1 million doesn't get you very far. We have buildings, machinery and cattle without the land." Luke said the measures may see the end of most family farms, expressing that the measure is the final nail in the coffin. A protest group of island farms was organised by John Hayward of Little Thorness Farm. He said of the tax, it could potentially be crippling. As the years go forward, lots of farms will cease to exist. Robin Mount of Parkwater Farm and County Chair of the NFU hopes that the government raises the threshold as a minimum and in an ideal world does a complete U-turn. She said, "The confidence and trust in the government is at an all-time low. Farming and agriculture looks to do what society wants from it. We can deliver, but we need direction."
Legal aid boost for solicitors. Solicitors working on the Isle of Wight are set to benefit from a government plan to increase funding for criminal aid, with £24 million injected into the justice system. The reforms announced by the Ministry of Justice include a £400,000 allocation to reimburse solicitors for travel time when working in or commuting to areas with fewer than 2 legal aid providers, which includes the island. Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood described the funding as a first step to reforming a system that has faced years of underinvestment. Criminal legal aid solicitors play a crucial role in our justice system, often carrying out incredibly complex work in challenging circumstances, she said. The changes, set to come into effect on December the 6th, will also increase fees for solicitors undertaking police station legal aid work and youth court cases. Police station work, which often occurs at short notice during unsocial hours, will see a funding boost of £18.5 million. Meanwhile, £5.1 million will go towards raising fees for serious youth court cases, reflecting the complexity of trials involving issues such as organised crime and sexual assault.
Key cutting service for Tesco's site. A major retailer which specialises in key cutting, watch and shoe repairs is coming to Tesco Extra in Ryde. National chain Timpson, which has other outlets in Asda and Sainsbury's in Newport, is opening at the supermarket off Brading Road, but not in the location it had originally intended. In 2022, a proposal was submitted to open a branch in a pod in the car park, taking up 4 spaces close to the entrance. After a number of objections, the application was later withdrawn. Now, work has begun for Timpson to occupy part of Tesco's building, which was being used as an exit for customers. Timpson signage is already at the front of the store by the new click and collect and former parent and child parking spaces. It's understood it will be up and running by early next year.
Violent abuser sent to prison. An Isle of Wight man has been jailed for more than 2 years for seriously assaulting his partner and throttling her dog. Keith Harrison of Sandown Bay Holiday Park, Yaverland, admitted causing actual bodily harm and inflicting unnecessary suffering on a dog by strangulation during an incident on August the 25th last year. The 56-year-old appeared for sentencing at the Isle of Wight Crown Court last Friday. Harrison was at home with his partner, where they spent the day putting up shelves and having a barbecue without any issues, the court heard. However, the atmosphere took a dark turn after she went to bed and Harrison started playing music in the early hours, said Tim Devlin, prosecuting. When she asked him to lower the volume, Harrison became abusive, picked up her small dog Winston by the scruff of the neck and strangled him. The woman's voice recorded the incident, capturing the dog's scream and the yelp in pain as he was being throttled, alongside his warning of her that he would finish her off, said Mr. Devlin. Harrison then pushed her to the floor and kicked her head, injuring her face and neck. She photographed the injuries and handed them to the police along with the recording. Despite a neighbour also recording part of the incident, Harrison initially denied the events, court was told. In her victim statement, the woman described Harrison's behaviour as unpredictable and frightening. Although not expressed in his pre-sentence report, Jim Osborne, defending, said his client was remorseful and regretted his actions. Mr. Osborne said his use of alcohol and drugs was a factor. He admits binge drinking and that he suffers with mental health problems and uses substances to self-treat his condition, but he has taken steps to address the issues. Since 2003, Harrison has 7 previous convictions for 9 offences and restraining orders, all linked to domestic violence against 4 other partners. Judge William Ashworth sentenced Harrison to 27 months in jail and issued a 10-year restraining order. He said, "You had no intention of reforming your behaviour following a spate of domestic violence against former partners." Harrison put his thumbs up to the judge and said, "Cheers, mate."
Carnival in danger of losing sight. One of the Isle of Wight's oldest carnivals admits it is facing a worrying future amid concerns it could be made homeless by new plans unveiled by Southern Water. For around half a century, Sandown Carnival has used land off East Jar Road, Sandown, to build and store its floats. The site is owned by the Isle of Wight Council and has recently been earmarked by Southern Water as a base for its new water recycling plant. Although the water company and the council insist they will try to find the carnival a new home should plans go ahead, it is likely to mean Sandown Carnival will be forced to relocate. On behalf of Sandown Carnival Association, Chair Paul Couslant told the county press it is a real blow. He said, "Sadly, with Southern Water's plans to develop the site, it does look like we now face being homeless." Paul said he is in amicable discussions with Southern Water and he hopes the utility firm can help source an alternative home for the carnival. In a joint statement, Southern Water and the Isle of Wight Council confirmed the water company is in negotiations with the council to purchase the former East Yar Road municipal tip. The statement said, if successful, Southern Water will be responsible for relocating any existing occupiers, including Sandown Carnival Association. Southern Water hopes the new water recycling plant near its current wastewater treatment works will create a new sustainable source of water to maintain the island's supplies. Although planning permission has yet to be granted, the firm is expected to submit an application early next year after a public consultation.
Setback for hotels' proposals. A hotel's attempt to expand has been dealt another blow after the Planning Inspectorate dismissed an appeal. Garden Isle Hotels, the owners of Shanklin's Luckham Manor, were hoping to extend the Clifftop Retreat to meet increased demand. It sought to add a 10-bedroomed extension and build 3 new bedrooms on the ground floor of the Popham Road premises. Citing its visually dominant and intrusive appearance, plans were refused by the Isle of Wight Council for a third time in January. A subsequent appeal has now been turned down by the Planning Inspectorate following a visit to the site on August the 6th. Although admitting the extension would benefit local business and tourism, it was found the proposal would have a harmful effect on the character and appearance of the host building and of the area. This harm would be long-lasting and would be contrary to the design aims of the framework, the Inspectorate ruled. The appeal was dismissed.
Police probe woman critical. The discovery of a woman with a serious head injury saw police cordon off a property in Branston. Police were called to Brandstone Farm Lane at around midday on Monday. They were alerted following the discovery of a woman with a serious head injury. The woman, aged in her 30s, was taken to hospital for treatment. She remains in hospital and is in critical condition, a spokesperson for Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary confirmed later in the week. Inquiries are ongoing to establish the circumstances surrounding how the woman became injured. A semi-detached property and its garden at the far end of the lane is the focus of police attention, and officers remained at the scene right into Wednesday afternoon.
New Red Funnel Award scheme launched to celebrate top island tourism heroes. Ferry firm Red Funnel is calling on Isle of Wight businesses and residents to nominate their tourism hero for 2024. The new accolade, part of the annual Red Funnel Isle of Wight Awards, aims to celebrate individuals in the island's tourism industry who consistently go above and beyond. This can include innovative business owners, dedicated employees or volunteers who contribute to creating memorable experiences. People have until Saturday, November the 30th, to submit their nominations, with the winner set to be announced by the end of the year. Red Funnel CEO Fran Collins said, "We are thrilled to introduce our brand new Tourism Hero Awards. This is more than just a recognition. It's a celebration of the extraordinary people who make the Isle of Wight an unforgettable and wonderfully different destination. We can't wait to read the submissions and have no doubt that with so many incredible individuals on the island, this isn't going to be an easy choice. To nominate a tourism hero, residents and businesses can submit their candidate's name, tourism association and reasons for their deserving of the award on the Red Funnel website.
Chain to close one of its 5 island stores. A national building materials chain will close one of its island stores at the end of this month after making the difficult but necessary decision to downscale some operations. With around 500 branches dotted across the country, Jewson is one of the largest general builders merchants in the UK. The chain currently operates 5 stores on the island, with 1 in Ryde, 1 in Sandown and 3 in Newport. Jewson has confirmed it will close its Medina Avenue branch, formerly Morey's, on Friday, November the 29th, and merge into the nearby Trafalgar Road store. This means that customers will benefit from an extensive and expanding range of products for their projects, as well as our Jewson tour hire service and a kitchen showroom, all available from one branch, saving them valuable time. The national chain said it is responding to market conditions and what its customers are looking for. A spokesman said, "Where colleagues are impacted, we're supporting them to find alternative roles within the business or to pursue opportunities elsewhere. We've invested in our Jewson Trafalgar Road branch over recent years, and we remain firmly committed to continuing to provide our customers on the Isle of Wight with the high-quality building materials and support they need and want." The county press has been told by several sources this week that Jewson may move to the former St George's site on Godric Road in Newport.
Now we're moving on to White Memories and Nostalgia. This is a headline that reads, "Island Men Amid the Horrors of Gallipoli." A man has penned a book shining a light on the Isle of Wight Rifles Gallipoli campaign. Islander Graham Brooks secured the county press archives as part of his research, and the book covers not only the campaign itself, but also information on each man who boarded the Aquitania and sailed to Gallipoli. A section is even available on the Isle of Wight Family History Society's website for anyone keen to research their relatives who served. The Society's chair, Jeff Allen, has also updated the website's War Service database to reflect Graham's research. The Rifles formed part of the 163rd Brigade, who set sail from Liverpool on the Aquitania on the night of July the 30th, 31st, 1915. The attack began on August the 6th, the day the Rifles arrived at the island of Lemnos. They entered the conflict on August the 10th, landing at Suvla Bay, and were in reserve for the first couple of days. In total, 120 Isle of Wight riflemen were killed at Gallipoli, 81 on the first day of action on August the 12th. Gallipoli saw around 58,000 Allied soldiers and 87,000 Ottoman Turkish soldiers killed, with around 300,000 men from both sides seriously wounded. Graham's grandfather, Reginald James Brooks Butt, served with the Isle of Wight Rifles at Gallipoli as Royal Army Medical Corps, the RAMC attached. He came from Sandown and joined the battalion in September 1914 with his cousins George Henry Cooper, William Charles Cooper, Frank Butcher and Charlie White. George was also RAMC attached, and William, his brother, was in C Company with the battalion at Gallipoli. Charlie White died of dysentery, which he caught at Gallipoli. He is buried at Pletta Military Cemetery in Malta. George Henry Cooper caught tuberculosis during the Spring Offensive in 1918 and never truly recovered. In March 1921 he died at the Royal National Hospital in Ventnor and was buried at Sandown Church. William Charles Cooper survived the war but caught influenza and pneumonia in December 1918. He died in Egypt and was buried at Cairo War Memorial Cemetery.
My view from Holmesy. See, I told you, every business and organisation would struggle with the new higher rate of employers' national insurance. Hospices up and down the land were already skint. Now Labour's national insurance hike is causing an even bigger crisis. Honestly, who knew their biggest cost was wages, mostly nursing staff, of course. It's not rocket science, is it? Chancellor Rachel, her with the iffy CV, insists she was an economist at the Bank of England. I have my doubts about those who work there. Their track record is dreadful. They helped create runaway inflation by pumping too much money into the economy. By 2022, it was 11%, a 41-year high and 5 times their target. Then, when the economy was evidently struggling, they repeatedly failed to cut interest rates. Last week, a big kitchen supplier told me they're 42% down on sales this year. It's not good, is it? Rachel boasting about working at the Bank of England seems as idiotic as Sir Keir's assertion that his dad was a toolmaker. Heaven help us if the PM really believes that being a junior at the bank means Rachel knows better than everyone else how our economy works. Ask a farmer. The early evidence is unconvincing. Rachel's next plan is to allow bigger council tax rises, so ours will definitely rise by 5% next year. They claim it's only 99p a week for a Band B property. But when taxes are already at record levels, why do they need more money? Those of us who pay it know that council tax always rises above inflation while services are cut. We're used to paying more for less. The council loves to blame government cuts, so where's all our money going? Adult social care, they cry. But pensioners and huge interest payments on Treasury loans can't account for all of it. When I saw Rupert Lowe, MP, claiming a whistleblower at the DWP informed him that 50,000 foreign nationals a month pass the test to claim universal credit. Read that again. 50,000 new claimants, people born elsewhere, qualifying for UK benefits every single month. Weirdly, 10% of them are said to be UK citizens returning from abroad. Or take something called a factual habitual residency test, whatever that is. Anyone granted refugee status here is entitled to claim universal credit, and 3,379,500 have qualified this way since April 2019. The DWP says they don't hold data on the nationality of those claiming benefits, assuming they come with nothing but the clothes on their back and the iPhone in their hand. It's surely likely, as soon as they're eligible, many refugees will claim benefits.
Now on to public information. My work on and off the island in the past month by Joe Robertson. This week in Parliament is Parliament Week. a nationwide initiative spotlighting our democracy and encouraging people of all ages to engage with politics. I visited the Island Free School to talk with Year 7 pupils about the importance of democracy and how Parliament works. Their questions showed genuine curiosity about how rules and decisions are made. It reminded me that my own political interest was sparked when former Island MP Peter Brand visited my school quite a few years ago. I visited Shanklin Youth Club with Alex Lightfoot, Mayor of Sandown, and had the pleasure of judging a fancy dress costume competition. The youth club was set up in the 1960s when Richard Priest was a youngster, and he was a part of the team that revived it in the 1990s, and it is still going strong with his support today. I met with the representatives from the community-driven initiative Men Only during a Benbridge versus Ventnor football game to show my support for improving men's mental health. Part of my work with the Health and Social Care Committee is to better understand the challenges facing community mental health for men and women to make recommendations to government in the spring. I also visited the Hats Off to Sandown exhibition at Key Arts to celebrate Sandown Carnival's Regatta Hat Revival and saw some wonderful creative talent. On the Health Select Committee, we wrote to Wes Streeting, the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, to express concerns about the impact of increasing employers' national insurance contributions for GP practices, hospices and social care providers. We are waiting a response. Together with Richard Quigley and Liz Jervis, MP for Eastleigh, I wrote to the local Integrated Care Board to ask for a meeting and assurances that they will commit to proper ongoing funding for Mountbatten. We must ensure the quality of care that Mountbatten provides can continue. Ahead of Small Business Saturday on December the 7th, I am launching a business survey to understand the challenges faced by local businesses. Small businesses are the backbone of our local economy, and their insights will guide my work in Parliament. If you are a business owner, please participate via my website. Your feedback is invaluable. I have been appointed as a Parliamentary Private Secretary for the Shadow Development for Culture, Media and Sport.
Now we move to What's On. 12 Days of Christmas. The Tritone Singers are preparing to perform their Christmas concert. What Child Is This? Will take place on Friday, December the 6th at 7 p.m. at Garfield Road Methodist Church in Ryde. The chamber choir will sing arrangements by traditional and contemporary composers, including their musical director, Richard Wilkins, and a variety of Christmas carols and motets. They will also take the audience on an amusing musicological journey through the 12 Days of Christmas. These short pieces will be a cappella or accompanied by Michelle Brock on piano. A spokesman said, "It may be cold outdoors, but you can be sure of finding a warm welcome inside." Refreshments will be available during the interval for a recommended donation. Tickets are £10, children free, available online or on the door.
Sandown and District Historical Association. On Wednesday, November the 27th at the Broadway Centre, Broadway, Sandown, there is a talk by Mark Saunders. This is a ramble past defensive structures of World War II from Sandown Bay and around the coast. The doors open at 7:15 and visitors £2 entry. There is a slideshow of new pictures and a raffle, and everyone is welcome, and there is also free parking.
Christmas Show celebrates the sounds of Sinatra and Co. A Christmas show celebrating showbiz's famous Rat Pack is coming to the island. The Rat Pack Christmas in Vegas will be at the Medina Theatre in Newport on Friday, December the 6th. The tribute show stars David Lassie as Frank Sinatra, Des Coleman as Sammy Davis Jr. and Paul Drakeley as Dean Martin. Alassi has previously impersonated Sinatra on Strictly Come Dancing and at the 2004 Royal Variety Concert. The show will start at 7:30 p.m. on Friday, December the 6th. Tickets are available from Medina Theatre.
Brass Quartet for Freshwater. A popular brass quartet is set to perform in Freshwater. The West White Arts Association's Christmas concert will feature the A4 Brass Quartet at the Freshwater Memorial Hall. The concert is scheduled for Saturday, December the 7th at 7 p.m. A4 Brass comprises of principal players from top UK brass bands, including Black Dyke, Brighouse and Rastrick and Fodens. The quartet, with its unique blend of cornet, tenor, horn, baritone and euphonium, offers an exclusive sound different from the standard brass quartet. Their repertoire includes pieces by Bernstein, Kozma, Percy, Granger, Elgar, Irving Berlin, with the inevitable White Christmas, and Mendelssohn, many arranged by quartet members Jonathan Bates and Chris Robertson. Tickets are available at www.westwhitearts.co.uk or Totland Parish Office on 756028.
Sparks Music, Isle of Wight, proudly presents Holyrood Street Jazz Blues Special, Newport, Isle of Wight. A Sunday double bill with the Sparks Piano Trio featuring our special guest this month, Sarah Bolter, acclaimed jazz vocalist, Stephen J. Parks, piano, appearing live on Sunday the 24th of November 2024 with 2 shows. 2 to 4 p.m. Sunday afternoon, jazz brunch, mulled wine and mince pies at 1 Holyrood Hotel and Piano Bar Garden Restaurant. 7 to 9 p.m. at Hong Kong Express Piano Bar, Chinese Restaurant. Tickets £10 per person per show or just £16 per person for the 2 shows. For reservations, call 01983 212 111.
It will be very Christmassy at Key Arts next weekend. The Key Arts annual Christmas Cracker Weekend returns next weekend, November the 30th and December the 1st. Make sure you mark the date in your diary and go along to Key Arts for a festive-filled weekend with more than 20 craft stalls of local artists, craft makers in the West and Claydon Gallery selling their wonderful handmade items on both days between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Key Arts will also be hosting a variety of fun events and activities over the weekend. On the Saturday of the Christmas Cracker Weekend, Squash Box Theatre are at Key Arts performing the Christmassy Christmas show of Christmassy Christmasness, the perfect festive show for all the family to enjoy. Shows start at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. and booking is required. There will be free family art drop-ins across the weekend from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 1 till 3. Go along and make Christmas wreaths and collage mini owls to take home. Some drop-ins require pre-booking. The popular Little City returns to Key Arts with a Christmas special on Sunday. Enjoy a fun session of imaginative, unique roleplay for children 6 years and under. Booking is required. Enjoy live music from the Christmas Bells Band in the cafe on both days from 1 till 3 with some delicious Christmas specials on offer to tuck into. For more information or to book, please go to keyarts.org or call 822 490.
Christmas concerts from Vectis Brass. Vectis Brass Band is going on an island tour, giving 3 Christmas concerts over the festive season, and all are free to attend. Vectis Brass is a community organisation based in Ryde since its formation in 1947. The band has a strong community ethos and believes in making music as accessible as possible. The band teaches students, young and old, how to play brass instruments, and donations received over the Christmas period help to keep this tuition free. On the concert tour, the band will first visit the Salvation Army Hall in Newport on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. This concert will feature the youth and training band as well as the main band. Next will be the beautiful St John's Church, Chawton Lane, Northwood, on Sunday, December the 1st at 3 p.m. Finally, the band will visit St Saviour's Church in Shanklin on Thursday, December the 12th at 7:30 p.m. Musical director Jay Taylor said, "We have been working hard on our Christmas programme and have a variety of music for everyone to enjoy. Collections at Christmas help to keep the band afloat for the rest of the year, and we are grateful to the local community for all their support. All concerts will feature traditional carols and festive favourites with tea, coffee and refreshments provided."
And now we're going on to letters. The county press gets a letter from Santa. And Santa Claus of the North Pole writes, "On Newport's day of Christmas, 141 excited children visited me and my elf in the Salvation Army grotto. Saturday certainly was a day of free festive cheer, thanks to all manner of army volunteers. Time well spent as children talked with me. They left with presents, sweets and a smile, and some commented on my beard baubles, remembered from last year. They promised to return next year too. Dinosaurs, dolls, computers, scooters and bikes were the presents in demand. The most surprising wish, to have their favourite food on Christmas Day, noodles. Laughter could be heard as families often saw their younger children peer through the door of the grotto entrance, suddenly stop and stare before breaking into a huge smile. Some even fell into a sprint as they raced for a hug or give a picture or card they had made whilst waiting patiently. To all families we say thank you for your patience on this very busy Saturday, and to all of Santa's little helpers, long may children be excited by the magic of Christmas. Ho, ho, ho."
Councillors walk out to the pub. Dear Editor, in my opinion, residents of Shalfleet Parish are due apologies from newly elected councillors Jonathan Hill, Chris Bean and Jackie Lawrie for walking out of November's parish council meeting and disrupting the council's legal business. Instead, I am told, they went to the pub. As a long-time councillor, I am committed to seeing things done correctly to safeguard the community and the way residents' money is spent. As chairman, I had to inform Chris Bean that he had broken the law by not supplying details of his election expenses to the Isle of Wight Council's returning officer, and legally he could not act as a councillor. These councillors should apologise because by walking out, official business was held up. A grant-funded community orchard in Shalfleet Village to mark the 80th anniversary of VE Day has been delayed. Shalfleet School's PTFA request for a grant for new exercise equipment for children could not be considered. Trustees of Wellow Green attended, but could not ask their questions. The extension of our unique King Charles III Coronation Avenue at Bordner, with more grant-funded trees planted by local children, could not be approved. As councillors, our responsibility is to care for people and landscape of Shalfleet Parish now and for the future. The new councillors are failing to meet that responsibility. From Steve Cowley in Wellow.
There is a difference, writes Marianne Rumins of Bembridge. There seems to be a small difference of opinion amongst my fellow readers of the County Press letters regarding illegal and legal immigration. I feel legal immigration has always been most welcome to our country. The medical staff that are required in our country are usually on a contract to the NHS, or they have entered legally and are warmly welcomed. The bone of contention is illegal when people arrive without passports and any proof of who they are and where they originated from. The young men who are arriving en masse daily in rubber boats not only are risking their lives, but paying enormous amounts of money to illegal traffickers to cross the channel.
Where is MP and his office? From Oscar Bickett, Cowes. In Richard Quigley's maiden speech to Parliament, he broke with convention to take a swipe at his predecessor, Bob Seeley, implying that Bob was not interested in talking about island issues in the chamber. Quigley said that in the first 100 days as an MP, he would put the island on the map. I was surprised to see that on his own metrics, our new MP seems to be missing in action. He has yet to mention the island in the chamber outside of his maiden speech, and it is nearly the end of the year. Looking at the number of contributions he has given overall, compared to the first few months of Bob as our MP, he has spoken under half the number of times, the vast majority of which were to take swipes at the Conservatives' record in power. Bob in that time pushed the government on tidal power on the island roads, job losses at BAE in Northwood, highlighted individual cases of constituents affected by the contaminated blood scandal, and arts funding for the island. Outside of Westminster, there is still no news on the opening of Richard's constituency office. We are over halfway through November. Bob had his open by September after his first summer election in 2017.
And David van der Peer of Wroxall writes he can't speak highly enough of the NHS. Just a short note to let you know of my recent experience in the NHS. Many people, including the media, are very quick to promote the negative side of our great healthcare system. I recently had to go in as a day patient at St Mary's Hospital to have an endoscopy and a colonoscopy, and not very nice either one. But I must point out how well I was treated, both with kindness and respect, being very nervous as I was. Can't speak highly enough of the endoscopy unit, just my findings on the day. And that brings us to the end of today's Talking News, and so therefore it's goodbye from me, Morris.
And goodbye from me, Francis.
The BBC In Touch programme follows, and the Scaffolding News follows that. This is a special announcement about NHS appointments on the mainland. A year after Whitelink introduced the £70 maximum return ferry fare for Isle of Wight residents travelling to the mainland for NHS appointments, there has been an increase of more than 50% in the number of crossings made by islanders using these discounted fares. NHS patients taking a vehicle from Fishbourne or Yarmouth at any time of the year now pay no more than £35 for a single crossing. However, Whitelink's contact centre staff can frequently find fares that can be up to £10 cheaper per leg through the long-established 50% discount. Whitelink's assisted travel line on 0800 093 8236 is there for customers who would like to use the NHS discount, and also supports customers with limited mobility who would like extra assistance when crossing the Solent. Fastcat foot passengers fares with the 50% discounts are £12.20. In 2023, Whitelink held discussions with the NHS, health organisations, charities and patients to find out how the ferry company could improve its services for islanders who need to use mainland health services. Feedback from the focus groups led to the introduction of the £70 capped return fares.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello. Today, In Touch is having a showdown.
Oh, so close!
Well, this showdown is not a punch-up. It's a game designed specifically with visually impaired people in mind, which is enjoying a revival. And its popularity is growing fast. More on that later. But first, something more practical, also with us specifically in mind. When I was a radio-obsessed kid, I used to fantasize about being able to hear radio stations from all over the world. The Home Service and Radio Luxembourg were all very well, but anything more adventurous involved navigating a series of whistles and bangs through a massive shortwave radio. Well, the digital revolution and the internet have made it generally easier to listen to stations from around the world online, but for all but the most tech-savvy of blind people, it can still be a tricky operation. But now the British Wireless for the Blind Fund, which started life providing free radios for blind people, now says it's entered a partnership with Airable, which has access to 70,000 stations. And the partnership says that through the BWBF's app, Speech Radio, it can make the business of connecting to a station much easier. So, how will it work? And what is now available that wasn't before? David Beard is Head of Technology at the British Wireless for the Blind Fund.
We had previously been providing access to radio content at around 10,000 radio stations, but the Airable partnership and the Airable support just allows us to ensure that we can present more, because Airable are in the background mopping up and making all those changes as those links that run these stations in the background change. So we just get a regular update from them, and we are able to provide a seamless service, hopefully, to all our listeners.
So tell us more about the Speech Radio app and how does it work?
So the app itself works almost in two parts. The user can speak to it and say to it, play BBC Radio 4, for example, and it should happily do that. Or it can just say to it BBC, and it should give us a list of all of those other available stations. We can say to it, actually speech off, and it goes back to a normal standard gesture mode, because we have to recognise and understand that with that many stations and that much content, you know, unless we know the specific name of the radio station, it can be very hard to do that. So we really are trying to work to ensure that the enunciation and the pronunciation of stations can be dealt with, and so that we can make it as easy as possible. But we can call gold or a particular name magic, and it will tell you, give you a list of the stations from those countries even, and what country they're from and what genre they are, so we can try and identify them. With the gesture mode, you just rifle through them with a swipe left or right, and they're all in content genres, so that we can try and break that down.
Well, producer Beth has done some rifling of her own over the weekend.
Speech Radio.
Okay, so I've got the Speech Radio app open. I'm going to browse through the menu options at the bottom of the page first of all.
Selected. Favourites. Most listened. Browse. Search. Profile. Voice. Button.
Okay, so first I'm going to see what the most listened stations are.
Most listened. LBC UK. BBC Radio 5 Live. BBC Radio 4.
So those are the top three options. I'm going to have a scroll down.
Greatest Hits Radio South Wales. William Hill Radio Horse Racing. Talk Sport 2. Pumpkin FM British Comedy 3.
Oh, that sounds intriguing. Let's see what Pumpkin FM British Comedy is.
Playing.
Jeremy, now, I'd like you to sing Tom Jones's big hit Kiss in the style of his little Welsh nephew, Aled.
You don't have to be beautiful to turn me on.
So I really want to find out what stations are now available as part of this new partnership. So let's go to Browse.
Browse. Selected. Recently added.
Aha.
Brazil. Serbia. Kazakhstan. Philippines.
Well, it appears that I can listen to stations from all over the world. Let's try something from Brazil.
Brazil. All recently added stations for Brazil.
Okay, so then you need to click on that button that says all recently added stations for Brazil.
Cidade AM 860. Radio Balacho. Radio Melhor Muito Mais.
Sabe, né? O blog aqui também tá ensinando como é que faz. Aí na agenda.
That was Beth trying out the gesture mode. She also tried the speech mode.
To get started, single tap, then double tap and give your voice command. For full instructions, just say help.
Play BBC Radio 5 Live.
And Russell Fuller. And both of these players are bristling with attacking intent. Katie Bolter has the early break against...
How to use speech radio.
Select from the following radio stations. 1 Hedgehog Hip Hop, genre type, hip hop rap from United Kingdom. 2 Hitchcock Radio Live 365, genre type, dance pop from United States.
Option 1.
Select from the following radio stations. 1 After Meron, genre type, Judaism from Israel. 2 Optimal FM, genre type, news from Netherlands.
Play option 2.
Select from the following radio stations.
Help.
Please select the relevant section by number. 1 Overview of speech radio. 2 List of commands. 3 Moving between speech and gesture modes.
3.
Select from the following radio stations. 1 BBC 3 Counties Radio, genre type, national radio from England.
Option 1.
Select from the following radio stations. 1 After Meron, genre type.
Well, David, there seem to be some areas of the app there that aren't that easy to navigate. We don't know quite where the problem lies, whether it lies with the app or with Beth. Could well be Beth. What's your reaction to that? And is there still work that needs to be done?
Yeah, so we are always working on the speech part. And in many regards, I think that the phrase is number 1 as opposed to option 1. It's just getting confused, but you know how they can do that.
I do, but this all goes to illustrate that there's quite a lot you need to know and there's quite a lot that can go wrong, isn't there?
Well, most certainly, yeah. With any service, there has to be a given path that obviously we take. You know, from the perspective of obviously calling it and asking it to play a radio station, you know, as far as I could hear, it was kind of coming through loud and clear. The speech part of the app is always being looked at to ensure that we can, you know, recognise and understand all of the various ways that someone wants to say the same thing. And certainly, obviously, there's a little bit of work that we can do there, Peter.
Yeah. How soon will the partnership with Arable be fully up and running? Is it up and running now?
All of those 70,000 radio stations, the increase from the 10,000 that we had before, are all available as we speak. So anyone with a smartphone or a tablet, as some people like to call them, can access either the iOS version or the Android version by downloading Speech Radio. It's free to use for anyone living with sight loss in the UK. If anyone has an issue and anyone has any problems with it, please come and contact us. We'd love to hear from you.
David Beard, thank you very much. Now, that game I told you about at the beginning of the programme, there aren't that many games and sports that can't be adapted to be played by blind and partially sighted people, but games designed with us specifically in mind are pretty thin on the ground. But Showdown is one. Its popularity is growing fast, with several new clubs being formed and the creation of a national league. So what exactly is it? We sent reporter Fern Lulham along to Worthing to find out if she might be the next Showdown showstopper.
I've got Fern on my left and Zara on my right. Fern starts with the ball. Zara, are you ready?
Yes.
Fern, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Play.
Well, as ready as I'd ever be anyway, after spending the afternoon swatting up on the sport, starting by asking Showdown UK's head coach Tommy Britton to give me the lowdown on a showdown.
It was invented by Canadian two friends who wanted to develop a sport that visually impaired people could play, but independently. So obviously they came up with the table, the fact that you had to score goals, they wanted something competitive, something quick. And I always say it's a very, very easy game to play, but very difficult to master. Showdown was at the World Games, and again we were very, very young as a nation playing, but we got to enter as the home nation, so we didn't need to qualify. That was a really good springboard, if you like, to jump from. After the World Games, as part of the legacy, there were 8 tables that were going to remain in the country, and then we were able to spread them around so that there's a nice spread from sort of north to south. And then from there, we've been very, very lucky to find some very exuberant and excited people who want to really go in and take Showdown further in their local community. So it's just growing from there and just going from strength to strength. I think it opens up a new world of sport for people who perhaps have tried adaptive sports, and golf will be the only other specific sport that we know for visually impaired people. Now all of a sudden there's like the new kid on the block, and people are sort of, let's give this a go, and it's something different.
Thank you very much. So this is a field hockey glove, kind of a leathery feel on the palm, and then lots of padding on the back to protect against big shots.
Yeah, don't scare me too much. Get my fingers in. There we go. Strap him up nice and tight.
I was intrigued to speak to some of these exuberant and excited people, so I chatted to Sussex Spitfire Showdown Club players Sam, Ellie and James about where it all began for them.
We went to a British Blind Sport have-a-go day in Southwick, and we saw Showdown, and we decided that we needed to get a table. We've only been going for about 6 months, so it's still gaining momentum, but everyone who tries it enjoys it.
And what was your first experience of Showdown like?
I had no idea what I was doing.
This will just make me feel better for when I try.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Once we have the table here, it's very easy to access in the sense that if you just want to get on the table and smack the ball around a bit and just try different shots, whether you're in a game or you're just batting it to and fro, it's great fun.
Talk me through the bat.
To describe it, it looks like a mini cricket bat, I'd say. A wooden handle and then a wooden flat blade, for want of a better word. The hitting bit.
Hi, I'm Ellie and I play Showdown. I've never really been a sporty person. I find sports quite intimidating. This is the thing, like Showdown has actually made me feel more connected to sport in general, and having a Showdown community has made me feel like, oh, okay, I can actually do this now.
Talk me through the table, how it's set up and the equipment, and what do you use to play?
So there's an extremely large table with raised edges and a screen in the middle. The screen has about 2 inches below it. Imagine a table tennis table with raised edges, and instead of a net you've got a screen. The idea of the game is you have 1 goal at each end, and the aim of the game is to serve the ball twice. So you serve once and then hopefully get a goal, and then serve again, and then it moves on to the next player. You win the game by scoring 11 points with a 2-point lead. So say we get to 9-10 and I score a point, it's 10-10. You score a point, you get 11 points. You then have to score another point, so the score would then be 12-10. And it's really tense when you get to that point. It really makes you feel like, oh no, who's going to win this? In terms of keeping track of the ball, the extremely good players can literally be like, oh yeah, you put the ball there, I know exactly where the ball is at any given time.
So I've got, it's a yellow ball.
It's a bit larger than a table tennis ball.
Yeah.
With some rattles inside. Audible.
Yes, helpful.
Plastic, so yeah, you'll hear it if you hit it.
You'll feel it.
You'll feel it if it hits you.
It hits you, yeah.
And it seems like Sam is one of those extremely good players.
So I attended the first nationals that they did up in Warwick. Managed to come third in that, which I was very happy with because I wasn't really sure how I would do. All of a sudden, me and James met up and we both won all of our games, and we were like, oh, we might have a shot here.
Oh, wow.
So it was, it was good fun. I really enjoyed it. And then they've invited me to go over to Poland at the end of this month as like an international tournament, which I'm slightly terrified about. I only lost my sight about 2 years ago, and it was just all from like sudden just to nothing. That's all it is now, like in the space of a month. So it's been like a lot to deal with in that sense. I never dreamed of competing in anything. Like before the sight loss, I never thought I'd be doing tournaments, getting a medal, and you think, oh, this is the first medal I've ever had in my life, and now it's hanging on my door.
I'm not known for my skill at sport.
Okay, and you're aiming to hit the sidewall before it goes under. Away you go.
Oh my goodness, the pressure. Ooh.
Nice. If I was being really critical, I'd say that was just long. But as a first serve, it wasn't too bad.
I mean, that's my first ever Showdown serve. I don't think you should be critical. Tell me about the teams. Who are they made up of?
When we play domestically, we tend to mix the genders, and there's no gender divide or split. When you play internationally, they do split the genders. Generally speaking, the ladies tend to have more finesse and more, I'm going to say, control over the ball, whereas the guys are sort of much more ego-driven and try to say,
No.
you know, yeah, I mean,
Can't imagine that.
go figure, eh? All the players will wear shades. So originally the sport was designed for visually impaired people. The shades just level the playing field to make sure everybody's of the same acuity. And domestically, yeah, we love sighted people to play as well, because I think for me, that kind of blurs the lines a little bit between what I like to call differently abled sports and common sports, you know.
All right, I've got my shades on.
Excellent. So the table is right in front of you.
I mean, I probably shouldn't have put the eye shades on before I got in position. I mean, I looked up the word showdown and it basically said that it's a confrontation intended to settle a dispute. So with such a name, is this sport really that competitive, Ellie?
It's quite competitive. It's not the most competitive sport ever. If I lose a game, I'm like, basically. Friendly competition most of the time.
Absolutely.
When you start playing the game, then get into it, you forget that it's a game because you enjoy it.
Oh, that's the sweet, innocent voice of my so-called friendly competitor Zara, who was about to take me on in my first ever game of Showdown and show me up.
Oh, so close. Well done, Sarah. Good
7-0 game.
7-0, thank you.
Just after COVID, there was probably about 10 people in the country who knew what Showdown was. Google the word Showdown, you would generally get sort of old-fashioned cowboy westerns, you know, films. Whereas these days, just 3 years on, now all of a sudden you can go onto YouTube and find Showdown videos and guides on how to play and all sorts now. So I think the word and the name Showdown is becoming more and more common throughout the whole country.
Are there plans to get the sport included in the Paralympics?
There's a minimum country threshold before you can enter the Olympics or Paralympics. But this year alone, I think 6 new countries have taken Showdown up. So now we are above the threshold, and I think the latest conversations are that in 2032 Showdown will be at the Paralympics. Who knows how high we can go up in the world rankings from there. I mean, it's our oyster, so to speak. You know?
What would you say to somebody, if they're listening, about giving Showdown a shot?
Find your local club and get down there. Give it a go. We did a friendly in Coventry, several games throughout the day, had the results, went out for a curry.
Showdown and then a hoedown.
Absolutely.
I feel like I've got closer to the people that I've played with. It's been really, really lovely just to make new friends, but also to just feel like I'm doing something worthwhile. I really feel like it's had a huge impact on my mental health as well. Like, it's really improved that.
Anybody can do it from all ages. We've got people in their 60s that have tried it out and really enjoyed it.
To everyone who is interested, we really enjoy it and we want other people to try it and feel the same.
I'd love to say to people that if you don't know whether you like Showdown or if you think you don't like Showdown, it's because you haven't played Showdown.
Ooh, sassy. And so for anyone listening who has been convinced and does want to give it a go, how can you get involved?
Either get in touch with UK Showdown, or we are at the moment in partnership with British Blind Sport, and there are clubs all over the country. Once you play your first game of Showdown, whether it's at a small club or at a national league or something like that, you instantly feel like you're part of something and you almost have a stake in it from the get-go. And I think that's the biggest draw, is just how welcome you will always feel. Get on the table and have a go.
What, me personally?
Yes.
Oh no.
Oh, yes! That is all I wanted. Oh, I can go home happy now.
Fern Lallum reporting. And that's it for today. If you've tried Showdown, tell us what you think. You can email in touch at bbc.co.uk or leave voice messages on 0161 836 1338. From me, Peter White, and producer Beth Hemmings, goodbye.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Scaffolding and skips news, week commencing the 22nd of November 2024. Newport area, Malthouse Court, Crocker Street, 10 Crocker Street, Island Beds, 90 High Street, Mencap, 69 High Street, Outside the Entertainer, St James Street, 48 High Street, 120 Lower St James Street, 36 High Street, Hong Kong Express, Holyrood Street, 47 High Street, Shoe Zone, High Street, 1 Holyrood Street.
In the Ryde area, pavement outside 29 to 30 Cross Street, 45 George Street, Cloud 9 Cross Street, 63 George Street, Serendipity Diamonds 185 High Street, 51 Park Road, Weatherspoons in Union Street, Crepe Lovers 21 High Street, 107 Monkton Street, 29 St John's Road, the Solent Inn in Monkton Street, Hayes Travel in the High Street, 76 George Street, 6 Nelson Road, Betfred High Street, Beachcomber High Street, 103 High Street, 1 Foreland Road in Bembridge, and in the Ryde area the skips are in the Lodge at Fairy Road in Seaview.
Shanklin area, 47 Regent Street, 7 Esplanade, Pencil Cottage, 2 Church Street, 112 Regent Street, 64 High Street.
In the Cowes area, 72D High Street and 73 High Street. In the Cowes area skips, 118 Pelham Road.
East Cowes skips, 70 Adelaide Grove.
Ventnor area, Mandarin Chinese, 92 High Street.
Freshwater area, Shirley House Avenue Road. Freshwater area skips, Princess Cottage Church Place.